Have you ever gone on a vacation, the kind where the brochure is screaming literal paradise, but your brain is still running like a customer service hotline? You lie down on the bed and immediately think, yeah, it's fine, but there's always a but. Classic scene. You check into the hotel. Everything is smooth like an insurance commercial. The room is spotless. The bed is insanely comfortable. The AC blows cool air instead of emotional damage. Nothing to complain about, and that's exactly the problem. Cut to behind the front desk, where the staff smiles like they've achieved monk-level inner peace. This is where you learn a universal truth. Guests don't complain about the hotel. They complain about the universe. The ocean is too loud. The sky gets dark too fast. The bed is too comfortable. The Wi-Fi is too good. These are 31 real stories. They sound fake, and I promise the more you hear, the more ridiculous they get. Story 1. Nature refuses to cooperate. A guest walks up to the front desk with a deadly serious face. The kind of look that says, I'm about to escalate this to the United Nations. He says there is a problem with his room. The front desk instantly goes into red alert mode, AC broken, no hot water, something crawling on the walls. No. The problem is the ocean waves are too loud. The hotel is right on the beach, the thing the brochure proudly calls natural sound therapy, but to this guest, it is noise pollution. He complains that the waves are making it hard to sleep and very seriously asks if the hotel can do something about it. Do something. As if there is a volume knob for the ocean. Or someone could go have a quiet talk with the sea after 10 p.m., maybe send the waves a polite feedback email. The front desk agent smiles, takes professional notes, while the brain quietly accepts an unchangeable truth. Human expectations will always be bigger than nature. Story 2. Comfort becomes the enemy. This guest shows up at the front desk with a very serious accusation. The hotel has ruined his morning. The staff freezes. Something serious. Alarm did not go off. Power outage. No, the problem is the bed is too comfortable. He explains that he only meant to lie down for 15 minutes, but the bed, with its unethical level of softness, seduced him into sleeping for 3 straight hours. He missed his meeting, missed breakfast, and his mental state is now completely compromised. Naturally, this is not his fault, this is the bed's fault. He asks if the hotel can do something to adjust the comfort level. Maybe make the bed firmer during business hours, or attach a warning sign. Sleeping too well may have consequences. The front desk nods in understanding, while quietly logging a new, universal truth. In this place, sleeping well is a deliberate crime. Story 3. Appearance causes emotional damage. A guest reports that his experience has been emotionally uncomfortable. That phrase always puts the front desk on edge, preparing for the worst. But no one was rude, no one was unprofessional. The problem is, the staff is too attractive. The guest explains that every time he walks past the front desk, he feels judged. No one says anything, no one stares, but the mere existence of such flawless humans is enough to destroy his confidence. His vacation, according to him, becomes a painful cycle of self-comparison. He very seriously asks whether the hotel can reduce the staff's level of attractiveness during his stay. Maybe dress them worse, or make them look slightly more exhausted. The front desk smiles politely, while the brain quietly draws a clear boundary. Hotel service does not include human gene adjustment. Story 4. Pets have their own living standards. The guest walks up to the front desk with a very serious issue. Not for him, for his dog. According to the owner, this vacation is not meeting expectations because the pet does not like the view. The room faces the ocean. Great sunlight, cool breeze, but the dog is not impressed. It looks outside size in the way only a well-spoiled dog can, then turns its back on the sea. The owner immediately concludes this view does not match the vibe. He asks if the hotel can switch to another room. Maybe a pool view, or a park, or something more mentally stimulating for the pet. Because if the dog is not happy, he cannot relax either. The front desk nods politely while the brain updates a new service industry trend. Vacations are now for pets. Humans are just the +1. Story 5. When basic concepts are misunderstood. A guest approaches the front desk with a deeply contemplative expression, like a man who has just discovered a flaw in the order of the universe. He says he has a completely serious complaint related to food service. The front desk immediately tenses up. Allergy, spoiled food, food poisoning, no. The problem is the ice cream is too cold. He explains that when ordering ice cream, he expected a gentle, pleasant experience, not a thermal shock to his teeth from the very first spoon. According to him, ice cream should not be frozen to that extent, and the hotel needs to reconsider its service standards. He even suggests that ice cream should be served slightly warmer to better match a luxury vacation experience. The front desk smiles, takes thorough notes, while the brain quietly rewrites an entire definition from scratch. Apparently, ice cream is not a cold dessert. Ice cream is a personal expectation with adjustable temperature. Story 6. Extreme Personal Aesthetics. The female guest approaches the front desk with a complaint that is purely aesthetic. She says the room gives her a sense of visual imbalance, a phrase that makes the front desk take a deep breath before responding. The issue is not cleanliness, not wrinkles, it is that the bed sheets are too white. White to the point that, according to her, they are blinding, attacking the retinas, and especially dangerous in the morning right after opening her eyes. She describes the feeling as waking up inside a massive bleach commercial. According to her, this shade of white has absolutely no vacation spirit. She suggests safer options: ivory white, milky white, or any tone that does not require her to squint in order to survive. The front desk smiles and takes notes professionally while the brain reaches a new conclusion. In the hotel industry, even colors can be charged with serious crimes. Story 7. Biology is the hotel's responsibility. A female guest appears at the front desk early in the morning with dark circles under her eyes, heavy enough to tell a tragic story. She says last night was a complete disaster and demands that the hotel deal with her husband. The front desk straightens up. Conflict, fighting, no. The problem is her husband snores. She explains that the snoring sounds like a jet engine, destroying the entire vacation experience. And because this happened in a hotel room, she believes the hotel is responsible for fixing it. Maybe move the husband to another room, or do something to make him stop breathing so loudly while sleeping. She very seriously asks whether the staff can intervene tonight. The front desk nods politely while the brain quietly reminds itself of an important boundary. The hotel provides beds and pillows. It does not manage human biology, and it is not a medical center. Story 8. Logic goes on vacation. A guest approaches the front desk with a serious expression, like a man who believes he has just uncovered a large-scale culinary conspiracy. He accuses the hotel of fraud. The front desk immediately becomes alert. Pricing error, misleading menu, no. The issue is the vegetarian buffet. He explains that the sign clearly says vegetarian buffet, but after walking through the entire spread, he could not find any steak. According to his reasoning, a real buffet should have everything, and the absence of steak means false advertising. The front desk patiently explains the concept of vegetarian dining, which includes the absence of meat. He listens, thinks for a long moment, then concludes that this definition is too rigid and does not suit his personal needs. He suggests the hotel be more flexible with steak. The staff smiles and takes notes while the brain updates a new truth. Sometimes logic is also allowed to go on vacation. Story 9. Supernatural entertainment expectations. A guest comes to the front desk with a disappointed expression, like someone who has just finished a very boring horror movie. He says his experience at the hotel did not meet expectations. The front desk immediately becomes alert. The issue is not the room or the service, it is the haunted hotel. He chose this place because of rumors that it is haunted. But throughout his stay, there were no midnight whispers, no white figures floating through the hallways, no furniture moving on its own. According to him, if it is a haunted hotel, the ghosts should at least do their jobs properly. He complains that the spiritual experience lacked climax, lacked surprises, and was completely not worth the money. He asks whether the hotel has any plans to upgrade its supernatural activities. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain adds a new criterion. Poor quality spiritual experience. Story 10. Luxury becomes a safety hazard. A female guest approaches the front desk with genuine concern, like someone who has just escaped a near-death experience. She says she does not feel safe in the bathroom. The front desk immediately turns serious. Slippery floors, water leaks, no. The problem is the bathtub is too large. She explains that the tub is so wide that once she lies down, she can no longer see the end of it. According to her, this is no longer a bathtub, but a personal body of water with questionable intentions. She fears that if she slides too deep, no one would be able to rescue her in time. She asks whether the hotel has a smaller bathtub, one that is more survivable, or at least some safety instructions for first-time users of an oversized tub. The front desk nods and takes notes while the brain learns an expensive lesson. Luxury sometimes comes with survival risks. Story 11. Too perfect is also a flaw. A female guest appears at the front desk with a serious expression as if she is about to file a complaint with the Global Pillow Association. She says she cannot sleep. The front desk immediately worries. Allergy, neck pain, no. The problem is the pillow is too soft. She describes the pillow as having no resistance at all, the kind that immediately surrenders the moment her head touches it. Her neck, according to her, gets swallowed into a formless cloud. No support, no direction, just the slow disappearance of her spine. She says she needs a pillow that knows how to fight back firm enough to remind her body that it still exists. She asks whether the hotel has an option that is less gentle. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain logs a new paradox of the vacation industry. Sleeping on clouds can sometimes be a serious problem. Story 12. Royal level demands. A guest approaches the front desk with the demeanor of someone used to issuing orders to an entire kingdom. He says the pool does not meet luxury vacation standards. The front desk hesitates slightly. Dirty water? Wrong temperature? No. The problem is the water is not luxurious enough. He very seriously asks whether the pool uses Fiji water. When he hears that the water is filtered and meets international standards, he looks visibly disappointed. According to him, regular water does not deliver a sense of luxury. Fiji water is different, it has vacation spirit. He suggests the hotel consider importing Fiji water for the pool, or at least blending it in to elevate the experience. Because if this is an expensive vacation, then every water molecule should have a clear background. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain updates a new boundary of the service industry. Luxury sometimes goes beyond even hydrology. Story 13. Art interferes with business. A guest approaches the front desk with a troubled expression, like someone who has just made a bad financial decision. He says the room is not suitable for creative work. The front desk grows slightly concerned. Lighting, desk space, no. The problem is the abstract painting on the wall. He explains that the painting is too confusing, has no clear theme, and most importantly, it kills business inspiration. According to him, every time he looks at it, his train of thought gets blocked. Ideas stop being profitable and revenue is at risk of declining. He asks whether the hotel can replace the painting with something more practical, maybe a landscape, or at least an upward trending growth chart. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain draws a new truth about the service industry. Art is not just for viewing, it is also responsible for revenue. Story 14. Physics does not meet requirements. A female guest approaches the front desk with a stern expression, like someone who has just discovered a serious flaw in the universe. She says the lighting in the room does not meet standards. The front desk immediately pays attention. Broken bulb, too dim, no. The problem is the lights create shadows that are too unforgiving. She explains that every time she stands in front of the mirror, the lighting reveals facial details she never agreed to have exist. Every feature is cast with shadows that are too clear, too honest, and completely unfriendly to a vacation mindset. She demands the hotel adjust the lighting to be more gentle with humans. Maybe follow the laws of reflection a little less, or at least make the light more empathetic. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain faces a major challenge, challenging the laws of light to protect guest emotions. Story 15. Entertainment for pets. A guest appears at the front desk with a request that already sounds airborne. He says his vacation is not complete because his parrot is not being properly entertained. The front desk freezes for half a second to process the information. The issue is that his parrot needs cartoon television. Not just any channel, it has to be colorful animation, fast-moving, and suitable for a pet bird's taste. Otherwise, the parrot becomes bored, irritable, and tends to make negative commentary about everything around it. He asks whether the hotel can leave a cartoon channel on whenever he goes out or provide a custom program selection service for the parrot, because pets are also on vacation and they have their own standards. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain is forced to update a completely new service category. Concierge for birds. Story 16. Other people's happiness is a problem. A female guest comes to the front desk with a very restrained tone, like someone trying hard not to admit her true feelings. She says her vacation has been seriously affected by the surrounding environment. The front desk immediately listens. Noise, music, no. The problem is a couple laughs too much. She explains that every morning, every afternoon, even every time she walks past the pool, she hears them laughing. Not polite laughter, but happy laughter, carefree, constant. According to her, that level of joy is completely unnecessary and creates emotional pressure for people vacationing alone. She asks whether the hotel can remind the couple to limit their happiness or move them farther away. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain reaches a bitter conclusion. On vacation, other people's happiness sometimes also becomes something that needs to be managed. Story 17. Local identity becomes a complaint. A guest approaches the front desk with a serious expression, like someone about to give feedback on an entire culture. He says the hotel staff is not professional enough in communication. The front desk grows slightly tense. Attitude, word choice, no. The problem is the local accent. He complains that the regional tone makes it hard for him to concentrate and does not feel luxurious. According to him, in an international standard hotel, everyone should speak in a neutral accent that does not suggest any identity at all. He asks whether the hotel can require staff to speak more like they do on television. Less emotion, less local, less human. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain records a familiar travel paradox. People travel far to experience something new, then complain when it does not feel like home. Story 18. Free but must be premium. A guest pauses at the front desk with mild disappointment, like someone who has just been hurt by his own expectations. He says the hotel's free cookie service does not meet standards. The front desk blinks twice to make sure it heard correctly. The issue is not that there are no cookies. There are, and they are free. But according to him, the cookies are not gourmet enough. He explains that free cookies should have more complex texture, deeper flavor, and ideally a story behind them. Maybe organic butter, handcrafted chocolate, or at least something that makes the eater feel special. He suggests the hotel upgrade the free cookies because if you are giving something away, it should still be worthy. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain absorbs a new service industry truth. Free does not mean allowed to be ordinary. Story 19. Design becomes a mental hazard. A guest approaches the front desk with tired eyes like someone who has just gone through an existential crisis. He says he feels mentally uncomfortable walking through the hotel lobby. The front desk immediately pays attention. Slippery floors, falling risk. No. The problem is the floor is too shiny. He explains that the surface reflects everything. The lights, the ceiling, and worst of all, himself. Every step comes with the sensation of being watched from below. According to him, that level of shine creates too much visual information, overwhelming the brain. He says having to see his own reflection constantly makes him lose focus and even causes mild panic. He suggests the hotel make the floor less beautiful. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain reaches a thoughtful conclusion. Sometimes beauty can also be overwhelming. Story 20. The internet is too good. A guest comes to the front desk with a conflicted expression, like someone who wants to thank and sue modern civilization at the same time. He says his vacation has been seriously affected by the Wi-Fi. The front desk immediately pays attention. Weak signal. No. The problem is the Wi-Fi is too fast. He explains that emails, notifications, and videos load instantly, giving him no chance to pretend he has not seen anything. Every phone vibration is a cruel reminder that work still exists. According to him, this internet speed has completely ruined his plan to disconnect and relax. He asks whether the hotel can slow the Wi-Fi down to a vacation level, just slow enough for him to feel no obligation to respond. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain records a modern paradox. When technology does its job too well, it becomes the source of stress. Story 21. A scent offends a lifestyle. A female guest comes to the front desk with a serious expression as if she is about to defend a moral position. She says her morning has been seriously violated. The front desk immediately listens. Allergy, smoke, no. The problem is the smell of bacon. She explains that the bacon scent travels from the buffet into the hallway, invading her personal space and directly attacking her lifestyle. According to her, it is not just a food smell, it is a statement. a stance delivered through the sense of smell aimed specifically at people who do not eat meat. She says having to smell bacon in the morning makes her feel disrespected in terms of her personal values. She asks whether the hotel can keep scents neutral, or at least provide a warning so she can mentally prepare. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain reaches a new conclusion. Scents also have opinions. Story 22. Self-declared royalty. A guest approaches the front desk with a very regal demeanor. He says moving around the hotel is not dignified enough. The front desk pauses briefly. Slow elevators, narrow hallways, no. The problem is he has to share walking space with other people. He complains that every time he goes from his room to the lobby, he has to avoid other guests, dodge suitcases, and sometimes even wait for the elevator. According to him, a luxury vacation experience should not involve contact with commoners. He very seriously asks whether the hotel can clear a private path for him during certain hours, maybe use ropes, or make announcements so everyone can step aside, because he is on vacation not using public transportation. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain reaches a new peak of the service industry. When entitlement reaches royal levels, it does not need a throne, just an empty hallway. Story 23. Booking the wrong place and then complaining. A guest comes to the front desk with an exhausted face, like someone who has just survived a night of sound-based assault. He says his vacation has been completely ruined. The front desk apologizes out of reflex. Poor soundproofing. No. The problem is airplane noise. The hotel is located right next to the airport. This is clearly stated in the name on the map and even in the promotional photos with airplanes in the background. But according to him, hearing planes take off at night is unacceptable for a vacation property. He asks whether the hotel can do something about the flight schedule. Maybe ask the planes to fly more quietly, or only take off when he is awake. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain arrives at a simple truth. Many problems in life start with skimming the description before booking. Story 24. Numbers cause trauma. A female guest approaches the front desk in a panic like she has just uncovered an ancient curse. She says she cannot stay in her current room. The front desk immediately tenses up. Technical issue? Security concern? No. The problem is the room number. Specifically, it is a number believed to be unlucky. She explains that the moment she saw the room number, her energy dropped dramatically. According to her, sleeping in a room with that number is an unacceptable mental risk. She demands an immediate room change and suggests emotional compensation for the time she has already been exposed to this dangerous number. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain logs a new service industry discovery. Sometimes math is not just a subject, but a frightening experience. Story 25. Requesting a refund for nighttime. A guest appears at the front desk with an extremely serious expression, like someone about to file a complaint with the order of the universe itself. He says he is unhappy with the room view. The front desk immediately pays attention. Construction blocking the view, bad weather? No. The problem is, when it gets dark, the view disappears. He explains that the room was advertised as having a beautiful view, but after sunset, all he sees is a perfectly black screen. According to him, a view that does not function 24 hours a day means the service is not fully provided. He requests a refund for nighttime hours because he did not pay to stare into darkness. Maybe charge by the hour, or at least apply a discount because nature did not cooperate. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain processes a rare request. Asking for a refund for the Earth's day-night cycle. Story 26. Too quiet is also a problem. A female guest approaches the front desk with a suspicious expression, like someone who believes silence always hides something. She says her room has a serious issue. The front desk immediately tenses up. Noise, neighbors, no. The problem is there is no sound at all. She explains that the room is so quiet she cannot trust it. No traffic noise, no people, not even the sound of the air conditioner. According to her, this level of silence creates anxiety, as if the hotel is hiding a major secret. She asks whether the hotel can add some background noise, maybe hallway sounds, wind, or any random noise to confirm that the world is still functioning normally. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain records an interesting paradox. Sometimes silence does not bring peace, it only makes people suspicious. Story 27. Architecture is too heavy. A guest approaches the front desk looking both exhausted and resentful, like someone who did not expect a vacation to turn into a physical challenge. He says his room is not user-friendly. The front desk immediately pays attention. Broken hinges, stuck lock. No, the problem is the wooden door is too heavy. He explains that every time he enters or leaves the room, he has to use all of the strength in his arms, shoulders, and a portion of his will to survive just to open the door. According to him, it is no longer a door but a mandatory fitness test. He complains that the hotel advertises a relaxing vacation, yet forces guests into unwanted exercise. He asks whether there is a door that is lighter and less physically demanding. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain reaches a new conclusion. Here, vacation is sometimes just another word for going to the gym. Story 28. Culture does not match personal taste. A guest approaches the front desk with genuine confusion, like someone who has just woken up in a parallel universe. He says the hotel breakfast does not make sense. The front desk immediately pays attention. Spoiled food, items missing. No. The problem is the European-style breakfast. He explains that a morning with only bread, cheese, fruit, and coffee is not serious. According to him, a proper breakfast needs eggs, bacon, sausage, and enough cholesterol to kickstart the day. Without those things, his body does not understand that it is morning. He asks whether the hotel can serve breakfast in a more normal way, by which he means American style in Europe. The front desk smiles and takes notes, while the brain records a gentle but painful truth. The world does not revolve around America, even though America sometimes really wants it to. Story 29. Technology is suspected of having consciousness. A female guest approaches the front desk with a cautious look, like someone who no longer trusts any device with a screen. She says the TV in her room has a serious privacy issue. The front desk immediately tenses up. Broken screen, sound issue, no. The problem is the TV reads thoughts. She explains that every time she thinks about a movie, the TV immediately recommends that exact one. When she feels sad, it shows gentle programs. When she is tired, it suggests a 3-hour-long film. According to her, this cannot be a coincidence. This is surveillance. She very seriously asks whether the TV is tracking emotions and whether the hotel is collecting guests' mental data. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain updates a modern fear. AI may have become too smart, or humans are just very easy to convince. Story 30. Childhood expectations become hotel responsibility. A guest appears at the front desk with an exhausted expression, like someone who has lost a negotiation with a child. He says the hotel has caused emotional damage to his family. The front desk immediately pays attention. Safety issue? Service failure? No. The problem is there are no mermaids. He explains that before arriving, he told his child that at the beach they might see mermaids. But after 3 days of swimming, diving, and staring into the water, no mermaids appeared. According to him, the hotel should have clarified this in advance. He asks whether the hotel can organize mermaid activities for children, or at least put up a warning sign that mermaids are not guaranteed. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain arrives at a big service industry question. Who is responsible for managing childhood expectations? Story 31. When life itself is the complaint. A guest approaches the front desk with a contemplative expression, like someone who has thought long and hard and decided to file a complaint about existence itself. He says this vacation did not solve the core problem. The front desk hesitates slightly. Room, service, no. The problem is life did not meet expectations. He explains that even though the hotel is beautiful, the bed is comfortable, and the food is fine. When he returns to his room, he still feels empty. According to him, a vacation should bring a sense of fulfillment, answers to everything, or at least a clear spiritual turning point. He very seriously asks whether it is possible to get a refund for existential disappointment. The front desk smiles and takes notes while the brain reaches the final boundary of the service industry. There is no front desk that can handle complaints about life itself. 31 stories, 31 complaints, and the irony is this. The problem was never the ocean waves, the pillow, or the Wi-Fi being too fast. There is only one common denominator: entitlement. The feeling that once money is spent, the world is obligated to operate exactly according to personal expectations. Hearing all this, you start to feel more sympathy for service workers. People who keep smiling, nodding, and taking professional notes while day after day facing everything. From nature science and technology to very human emotional crises. And now it is your turn. Have you ever gone on vacation and still felt irritated for a completely unreasonable reason? If so, be honest in the comments. Subscribe to the channel to know that you are not alone, because after everything, hotels have front desks. Life does not have a place to file complaints.